And we're back. It was a brief game of Nuke. It was a one-sided game of Nuke, but I don't think there were too many. I don't think that was surprising. I don't think there was anything too surprising there. There's quite a few teams who, I don't know, would you say, I mean, they are against Astralis, right? So would you say that Nuke is a map pool problem for Big? Maybe it's both. It's a map pool problem and they're playing Astralis?
I think it's just they're playing Astralis.
Yeah, I think they kind of got outskilled as well.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, right? They're all pro players.
They are, but Synergy is quite something.
They're not all equal.
No, not all teams are made
no
equal.
equality.
Yeah, Astralis are they're the 1%, man. They're the 1%. I love how they just keep winning, but they don't get bored of winning or working on winning more.
Yeah.
You know, especially at the major, man. You saw so much detail in just the tiny things. Like I think they made everybody respect the power of utility in terms of grenades, like HE grenades. But it took that even further at the major, I thought, with some of the detail, which I've made videos of some of it, but I could see how hard they worked just based on the way they were using grenades in certain situations. Like on the B bomb site of Dust 2, people were running into their grenades that were thrown through B doors, bounced off the wall, and so on. So absolutely crazy. And it's so important. I don't think people really appreciate how much work Sonic does for the team, because I know, for example, let's say you're playing one of those major stages where there's like a draw at the end of the day to see who you're playing for the next day. If those draws are late, it means he's staying up until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning because he's doing work based on that match as soon as they find out what the match is. So I don't know what exact information he's providing, but I know he's spending a lot of time doing that stuff. And I really don't think that gets appreciated enough, because I think it's quite ambiguous. For example, when you have a 6-man, some people are just like motivational speakers behind the players. Some are more strategists. Like you can hear some of the stuff that Yanko has said in some quotes where he's just kind of laying out an idea for a round and so on, where some people might just be like, come on, let's get it, guys, and all this kind of stuff. So it's hard to see like a coach's impact because there isn't really a solid definition, I think, from team to team at the moment. It can vary wildly, and I think it depends on the strength of your in-game leader and so on as well. But I don't think he gets anywhere near enough credit for the work he puts in Astralis. It's definitely a 6-man team.
Yeah, I think it's a problem that will fix itself over time, just because the standard will rise and rise. There'll be more and more and more people like Sonic coming around, and it always just starts with one, then that example is set, and then everybody can see the difference between Sonic and somebody else.
Can they though? It's hard to see from the outside.
Well, I think they can. I think that the issue is that people have to work to be as good as Sonic. That's the issue, and that takes time. I mean, Sonic came in and he wasn't as good as he is now, obviously at the beginning, but he obviously was already very good. And I'm sure, Barnes, you have a lot of opinions on this.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of work that I think going into a match, for example, the coach knows the most in terms of possibilities that could happen in the match. And you don't want to overload your players. But what you do want to do is, if you start to see things coming true in the game that you're watching right now that you've seen during prep, you have an idea of what you can say already, suggestions you can make. So your brain is always full of information, but you have to be careful not to share all of that up front, because then you're going to overload your players, who their job is to go out there, play the game that's happening right now, not worry too much about what's happened in the past. So in that way, I think coaches do obviously put in a lot of work to become like a really good coach. I do think most people need to be playing the game as well, and that's something not totally true in traditional sports, right? You have a lot of coaches that have never really played the game at a high level. They just have seen it a lot. They've been experiencing it a lot. So I don't know why that's a little bit different for Counter-Strike.
I think in most traditional sports, you have complete information and that you can see everything in front of you. But I think that the most exciting esports games are the ones, for the most part, where the players in the server don't have complete information, at least.
Yep.
Exciting from the point of view of spectators, but anyway, it's a bit off topic. I think that there's definitely a lot of feel, which you have to consider. Like when you say that on your team you put the experienced players as lurkers, because there's a lot of feel, combined with good communication as well. But what you hear and what you see happening around the server gives you an idea for you just feel like, okay, in this situation, these are the things which are likely to happen, and maybe this is the highest percentage play to make in this situation, basically. So I think feel has a lot to do with it in terms of playing the game or just being completely, just not playing the game essentially.
Yeah.
I think it has a lot to do with it. I do think it is something which, I mean, how defined do you think the coach role is? Because I think it can vary not only from team to team, but if you look at Stanislaw, for example, like he's a person who, as an individual, I'd say he's developed a lot in the last year, maybe 2 years. But I'd say before that, he was maybe notoriously he wasn't the kind of person who would necessarily get on with everybody, and you need to kind of fit into what he wants to do. And he might not want to have like a coach saying stuff.
Sure.
Basically.
I do think that does have to do with personality. Sometimes you do have personality clashes between the IGL and the coach. If you don't like being challenged and you'd rather have someone that just says yes to everything. To be honest, there are IGLs out there like that do really well because they need that kind of validation and positive reinforcement, right?
Yeah.
Then again, you're never going to get challenged and learn how to do something a little bit better if there is a way. So I think you're right. IGLs grow up as well. The coaches need to adapt and see. They generally tend to be a little bit more mature in terms of age as well as experience in life and things like that. So they can adapt easier to the type of players that they have. So they need to, in the sense that the same coach can have 2 different styles on 2 different teams.
Yeah.
And that's the interesting.
I think we've seen a few examples where there are variables which kind of change how useful a coach can be. That was one example of, like, let's say, old Stan and new Stan, which isn't a criticism of him. It's just kind of how you can implement a coach is not going to be the same from team to team. But if you look at Ninjas of Pajamas, for example, from the outside, if you look at the coaches that they've had, not including Peter, because he's been a relative consistent for them. Before that, it looks like the only coach they would listen to was Threat, and the other ones, they would have suggestions and so on, but not really kind of be falling on deaf ears.
Sure.
Especially with the experience on the team, that's going to come with ego, and you need some ego. Obviously, ego / confidence. Like, is it ego if you're right? That kind of thing. There's good ego and bad ego, but you need to have ego if you're playing at this level.
Yep.
So there are so many different things, and that's before you get into like motivational and tactical and so on. So I think it's hard to like black and white define a coach role, because maybe there are like 5 different types of coach role, depending on the team, depending on the personalities of the in-game leader, and maybe it's just like a player. I don't know. I guess I don't know if you can really micromanage somebody as a coach, because you only have a set amount of timeouts in the game.
Yeah.
But if it's hotheads or something, I guess you need someone on the server to be that captain and kind of keep people calm. But we've seen some comments from some Russian-speaking referees about Na'Vi, where Simple's supposed to be the captain, but he's raging and putting Guardian off his game. So I feel like that's regressed like 3 years or something. So
sure.
There's a hell of a lot of different things going on.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, I guess, like in traditional sports, you'd want the responsibilities divvied up, because it's too much for one man, really, ultimately. So, I mean, obviously in traditional sports, you tend to have teams of larger rosters, so that's one thing too. But just like the interpersonal relationships between the players and managing how they communicate with each other can be a really big issue, because I've been a part of a lot of teams where people just don't know how to communicate with each other. And it's very difficult sometimes, because you have to make a decision, because some people you can't change how they are. Some people just can't do it, or the effort required is just not reasonable. So you have to just make a decision to cut maybe a better player to keep the guy that's worse on the server, but like actually makes the team move together in a better way. You need those sports performance people that can help to make sure that the daily lives of the players is gonna, the way that they handle everything from fitness, nutrition, everything, and it's gonna be helpful for their performance. And looks like we're into the pistol round, so never mind. I had a few other things there, but never mind. Let's see if Astralis, they won the first map 16-3 against Big. And I've seen Mad just kill everyone here so many times, so I'm a bit worried for Big. There's a gap. That's a pretty sizable gap for Dupree. He spotted a couple players there.
Enormous gap.
Ooh, it's a big opportunity here for Astralis to do so much damage. Oh, instant tag. That's a big one. Okay, that's the most dangerous player gone. not in a great position there, and they've actually managed to push their way in. Oh, it's this guy again.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But it's a different map, and maybe it'll be a harder, even though it's a 3 versus 2 rather than the
my
5
God.
versus 2 we saw before. Well, Big looking going for the elimination. I can't imagine they were planning the rotation, but they are rotating the bomb actually. So rather than maybe they're shell shocked after the previous round, rather than going for a 3 versus 1 on the B bomb site following that kill, they'll rotate the bomb and get that worst case scenario. They're securing the Kriegs there. They're securing the Kriegs and they'll leave it in a 2 versus 1. That's wild, man. That's fair. That's fair to me.
It's kind of cool because they know that Device is in tunnels, so at worst there's one guy outside the door. So if you rush him with 3 players, you're guaranteed on the kill. So I think that makes sense. I mean, it's cool that they have the ability to call that on the fly.
Yeah,
I feel like that's based on the 5 versus 2 they lost on Nuke.
Yeah. It is crazy. There are certain things that happen enough in Counter-Strike that you know how to call on the fly. And that definitely is one of them where should we push outside or should we just chill and push the guy tunnel or should we just sit in the site? And that happens a lot, but you really get to see how a team operates on the fly under pressure when things happen that you really haven't seen much before. You know, and I think that's kind of what keeps Counter-Strike so exciting, also emotional. Every round can be a roller coaster. So it's a very fun game.
Yeah, can't stop playing it really.
I'm not even trying to stop. I love it.
I'm waiting for Diabolical to have a 1v1 game so I can actually compete again. That'd be nice. Here we go. Next, going for the peak with the orb. Not really all that much in terms of Astralis utility here, and they don't have a long defense either, so within that there's a big opportunity, but you know that Astralis understand their limitations. They pushed up a dark because you can't just sit on catwalk forever, and Glaive's going to get a very fast flank. Now, Havson might intercept this, but he only has an MP7, so Glaive... Ooh. Yikes, he didn't have a helmet, I guess. The MP7 has some range to it.
That's one thing I want to drill the stats of the MP7 at some point, because it hasn't been touched for a while and it's not very common, presumably because of the price. So I wonder why they've just left it as is. So I'm going to take a closer look at the numbers before. It's fun to realize that the CZ at close range was stronger than the FAMAS before they nerfed it. So we'll see what we can find about the MP7. Anyway, Big's patience has paid off. Dupree trying to find some good timing. Sound cues have been cut by Big, but they're running low on time to make it to the site. There's only one pop flash for Zipex to deploy, and again, little cues as to when to do it. You can see him warming up right now. It's going to go through that CT smoke on the site, actually. There it is, big one, but no one's too close just yet. Magic's forced forward. Everybody on the site now, 23 seconds remaining. They've got a numbers advantage, but the angles are with Astralis, surely, for the time being. Magic moving around a short plant position. 15 seconds now, still not on the site, Big. There's their first opening kill, basically. Dupree now left alone. And with 10 seconds on the clock, 2 players will finish off the job for Big. The numbers game will prevail on the A bomb site.
That was pretty close. The time being as low as it was. But Astralis, they have been tamed for now. Got some Beagles for Astralis looking for some damage. Device going around catwalk. He's pretty devious around that position. You'll often see him there. With the AWP, especially. Waiting for the jump on Xbox now. Very quiet from Big. They're quite spread out, but they're now starting to rally themselves towards long. Bomb is making his way there as well for the split of A.
Yeah, it looks like they're playing a reactive game to what Astralis have done so far. Making sure there's no flank through B this time. Zipex says hello. There's no flash for Astralis, but what is the intention with the smoke on Magisk? Well, he's over towards the B bomb side actually, so doesn't look like that's going to be the play. Smear on the platform. I kind of missed the rail that was above the pit on old Dust 2. No longer here for new Dust 2. Boost peek, I like it. They've got time to do this. Double flash into the CT spawn position. Love some chain flashes. Specs won't find anything just yet with his gap. 35 seconds on the clock to take out 3 players. No one's been wrecked by Astralis just yet. 2 deagles remain. And it seems, well, he might rotate for exit, so I wonder if there's an argument for Magis to just save his Kevlar at this point. He did buy deeper than the remainder of his teammates, but they will be at maximum loss bonus, so it won't be too bad. So maybe he will play off device. Dust 2.
And this is good as well because, you know, it's pretty easy to run out there and die. And I was always a fan of, you know, starve the other team of kills, you know, where it makes sense to do so. Just don't allow them to get kills. And I think there is a thing, you know, it does impact pro players. And some players are more emotional than others. Some players are fueled by just doing their job, focusing on their roles. But some players, like, they want the validation of getting kills as a signal to that they are doing a good job. And so if you're denying them kills, then it also feels like getting kills is hard against the team you're playing, which makes it feel more competitive, which slows down the confidence the other team will have. That's an important factor.
Minute 52.
Fast timing, look at that. Super fast timing on Catwalk. Fastest possible timing, in fact.
Will they keep going, though? Or does it stop here? They've got the early smoke grenades. They've got Avangard smokes from I don't know where. Having a look over the top, seeing nothing towards A just yet. Deploying some utility. There isn't much left for Astralis in this round. An investment towards long. Smoke is still up. Glaive is there as per usual. Device waits for the swing. Taps it and stops it. Takes the duel with the Krieg. And he wins it. Device missing his shot. A rare miss from him. Next looking to cut off the rotation. Maybe flank a CT spawn player. Looking too many different ways though. And Magis will find a frag. If the retake has to be from CT spawn, that will be really difficult. Super important for Big to hold on to short. That's a great HE grenade though.
Oh my god. I am so surprised how much damage Astralis are doing before they've even really had an attack on the bomb site. And here it comes, but they've softened everybody up. And they forced them back with the usage of utility. The smoke as well, that surely is the GG. You can see that Big are already falling away from the bomb site. They know it's done. That's kind of crazy. When they get that kill on device, you feel like they're a shoo-in for the round. And Astralis didn't even have that much retake utility.
Yeah, but they're Astralis. They use it better than anybody else.
The big kill was at mid. I think Magis caught out a lurker. I think lurker probably went a little bit too fast. This kill right here. And at that point, Astralis kind of knows Glaive has pit control. They only have to worry about Cat and Sight. And I think that's kind of that's what happens if you go a little bit too fast on the post plan. You feel like the round is won. Take your time.
Yeah, that was a shocker. That was a shocker. Device towards the long position in time, and the other end of the map is another AWP. I love it when we see Dupree-Orping. He can hold an angle through half the tunnel as well. He's got cover to fall back. Smee will have a look. It's just great two-man play from Astralis. Even though you don't see it come into action, their setup is fantastic.
Yeah, it's so beautiful because one of the principles when playing Counter-Strike should be, you know, you have to take risks. So which risks you take, and whichever risk you do decide to take, how can you make it as safe as possible? Like, and having a teammate to support you, or having a flashbang there, you know, whatever it is. And Astralis is so good at that. But we get actually stereo kills coming in, and that could really turn the tide here. There's a minute to go, so Big have lots of time and space to work with on the map. And Astralis have to start guessing. They don't want to play a 1-1-1 setup that's very fragile. They'll take 2 players down towards long, and they will be playing together, but there are 2 now on the site. This will be difficult. Lots of utility, a Krieg in action as well. Xantares with the AK. So how do they do this with nades? Oh my.
Next. Creeps. Smoke is up. Xantares is forced forward. Flashbang avoided. But maybe there are more to come.
Oh dear.
Doesn't even see him.
The angles.
What an angle.
Got to know the angles.
You were saying the other round about getting confidence from getting kills.
Yeah.
I remember once I had a player, this is when I was still playing. I'm not going to say who, but he told me after the match, we played a match, it was Down Dust 2, that, hey man, on anti-ecos, can you send me to go get kills? Because I feel like you guys get all the kills on ecos, and I can't build any confidence for later rounds. At the time, I called him an idiot, because he's basically asking to farm kills.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, and there are players that need confidence early in the half, early in
Yeah.
the match to
They don't want to stand
going.
out on the stats board.
Yeah, obviously that's the second
Even if they're playing
aspect.
B on CT or something, it
Yeah.
just doesn't make sense. Like, you know, yeah, people work in different ways, right?
Yep.
I know that this was quite an issue. When talking to Threat, he has lots of things to say about that topic as well. Like players he's worked with, similar stories. That he'll send, when he was in IGL, he would send certain players to get kills that he felt like were more emotional players.
Right.
So it does make a difference. And that's part of what it is to be an athlete as well. Some of them can just summon strength without anything other than the internal request for that strength to be summoned, not requiring a cue from the match that's actually happening right now. But I digress, because we do have Big now. They're in it. They're in trouble. Astralis, picking up some rounds, getting some nice retakes going, causing some problems. And the decision making they had in the previous round was actually awesome. The way they went back to long, cleared long, that's 2 players, and then went back to the A side. A slow default from Big though, and Astralis, it's always hard to know what to make of this.
40 seconds left. 2 players in the B bomb site. Device will have angles over the smoke if it is to be a B split. Tabson looking for something. One of these 2 mid players stay in position. Zipek's closing in and Tabson's taken out. He just knows the angles. Counter flashes. Big still stuck in the choke point at the moment. That smoke will soon be gone. Dupree spots 1 player jumping up by the stack. They start to swing out, 1 for 1 they go, but it's 3 versus 2. There's 9 seconds to plant the bomb, and I don't think they're going to get anywhere close to it, falling at the stairs of the site. And it's a 3rd round in a row for Astralis. Their first one without a bomb defusal.
Astralis almost ran out of time there on the rotate. I think they were off by a couple seconds actually. They made the round work anyway, but they cleared long. They cleared upper B. I think Dupree had an op on it. And they saw that lurk smoke on Cat, but they still kept too long for a long time. 3A, too long. So I think they were almost a little bit behind on the rotation, but of course, in Astralis fashion, they made it work anyway.
Nice pop from Glaive. Yeah, that's the thing I was going to say. Like, it's so hard to know on this map sometimes when you see that lurk smoke what it really means. But Big, a couple headshots, and all of a sudden, Astralis' aggressive play early in the round has created a 3v3, and the bomb's down. They have a lot of retake utility, and you better bet that Astralis is a team that knows how to use it. So 1 Molotov towards the back of Plateau. Counter molly coming in from Big, which is really nice. It's actually going to kill some time. You need that window player to be able to activate. Pre coming in as well with lots of utility also.
Yeah, pretty late though. There's a pop flash, but there's the bomb is so fast. I think that HG is going to be really helpful. Someone's got to get on the bomb immediately. Is there going to be time for this? I think he might just be a second too late,
Got it, man.
Oh, excuse me. How about that? That's really a really late retake. The flashbang comes in. Astralis just too perfect. They're pretty epic, especially with the online retakes of the B bomb site. We have witnessed them doing ridiculous things in previous seasons.
Yeah, when you see 3 of them, this is the issue always. If you do a fast hit to a bomb site, even if you get the bomb site, the CTs will have maximum utility remaining for the retakes. So if there's a team that knows how to use the utility on a retake, it's a really interesting. It's very fun to watch those rounds. And we get a Cat presence, Cat push coming in from Zipex and Device. Again, we mentioned this before. You'll often find Device going for aggressions there. Dupree's going to spot some action towards the long, moving the AWP from B to A long, and they may not suspect, they may not even realize that's Dupree. They'll certainly not be aware that there's another AWP towards A already. The bait there.
Quick boost. Just note you go on the side. Again, it is a slope there. Go around the other side of Glaive, you're too low to jump on his head. Does he jump on the box, Dupree? There's a flashbang easily seen by the T's, however. Oh, he goes for the multi-peek as well and gets a multi-tag. Glaber some spray, running out of bullets over. Zipex is in that elevated position. tabseN will deal with him, and there's a push in an unlikely place from Next. Makes it doable. Risks being taken, but they are paying off at the moment. Free sees the Molotov coming his way. He's got a gap now. He's on fire, however. There's some spray as well, down to 18 HP, excuse me. Utility keeps coming.
Smoke's going away now. Free's in some trouble. The sad thing is they can't understand how low these players are. Obviously, they have 2 AWPs as well, so it's an awkward position to be in. They kind of found the perfect round to throw at Astralis. Dupree not getting that, or not being able to get a kill, whereas the T's were entering long. I feel like it really made a big difference, and Big were able to keep themselves very safe, moving up towards the A site. Very well played by Big.
Yeah, they're back to winning ways.
And some of that came, of course, from Astralis going for a cat aggression. So how do you feel about that losing that round, Valence, if you're Astralis?
Yeah, I think they gave up. They gave up the side a little bit too easy. I think they needed a little bit more individual, I think, playmaking there. And I think it's simple. It's as simple as that. They're not going to be too sad about losing that round because they missed a couple shots. And it's not necessarily Big doing something really impressive, but they found the gap. So I think they'll probably play out the same way this round.
Dupree goes into the angle, but Samira is waiting for a re-aggression. This is a strong advantage. You can see Big setting up now for a play from Astralis to try and turn things back into their favor. Ooh, Device, that was so fast. Does he go through tunnels? He's going straight up mid, in fact. Expecting Big to have a fast response, and they will. Heading towards the car area. There are flashes to delay things. Used just yet though, some tagging. Centaur is down to 13, Molotov towards short. No one's gone long now. Device has joined his teammates in the short position, which is being mollied at present. The HEs do so much damage. tabseN down to 4 HP in a 2v2. There's 2 incendiaries to be deployed, trying to delay that bomb plant. tabseN's got to wait, and there'll be another one on the way afterwards with 4 HP. Zipex rotating as these incendiaries buy time. You can see tabseN staying very far behind. There's a flash, and we won't see. There's a ding-dong from Zipex. Marvelous work. And now tabseN with 4 HP might be able to do it. Now, do they realize that Zipex is probably in the same place? Because Zipex got a frag. They killed Device in CT spawn, and indeed he's looking for Zipex in the low ground. And what will Zipex do?
Could be absolutely anywhere. This is a lot of info, but did he go long?
This isn't that well planted for him either. I mean, it's not terrible, but
that's a close one, down to 4 HP, and Zipex had a go of it. Good hold though. But you're saying, Valence?
nah, I was just weird. It was weird that he walked cat because it wasn't planted for him, but he made it work because he peeked early, so that was good. Good by tabseN, right, in the clutch.
So close. 6 rounds to pick. They've also gotten rid of the buys for Astralis for now. And that's pretty important. Ooh, don't want to give away a headshot this early if you are Big.
Oh, there's going to be a gap in there surely for Device to play with. He's going to get real spamming and won't get much out of it. I thought there might have been more in there for him, but not on this occasion. You've got Smear being real careful. Crab walking, I think. Bomb planted default.
I think Big lined up those mollies to cover all of the site behind the tunnel smoke, which is pretty cool.
It's pretty nice. Zipex taken out. Big have an opportunity to have a nice half now after breaking the money of Astralis, although, I mean, they're not in the doldrums. They'll be on the buy sooner rather than later. I was just doing a little more at the end, but indeed, Astralis, well, you have that 1 eco round, and here they come again. Here they come again. It's like a horde. Just wave after wave. Endless. Astralis 5-man hordes.
I wonder if Astralis is going to try to shut down long because Big has gotten away with a couple rounds just because they got long control so fast. So I think if I were Astralis, I would probably try to shut that down, maybe put an op towards B or something like that. And let's see if they can hold it down this time.
Dupree is on the second AWP in the B bomb site. 4 smokes up. I think both teams will wait before they take their next decisions.
This is pretty interesting, actually. I like that they boosted somebody up here because if Astralis have invested a lot in long, there is a more likelihood of them pushing this position if they hear nothing, if they've invested players there. So that's kind of a cool spot to be in. See if that actually pays off. Although maybe that Molotov might give his position away. We'll fall back now though.
Showing some presence towards long. Maybe raising some concern of a potential play towards long when really the push is coming in towards B. But will somebody face to throw a grenade? Ooh, tag through the wall. That might be important. That smoke grenade, if anything, can be done. Now, look at that match just holding things down. Very well-timed smoke grenade, and there's nothing Big can do at this point. They've lost 2 players. They don't have position to make a play into the site, and Plan B has to be engaged. But what is Plan B? 3 players by the mid doors creeping out, but can't go too deep to CT spawn. The angle is really unfavorable.
Players made it to the site in time. The M4. Not much utility left on Astralis, but the same is true for Big. Very good picks coming in from Astralis now. That's the bomb down. Zipix is just taking heads. Now Smear is critically weak. Astralis looking like they're about to get their 5th round here. 5 seconds to go. And almost. I felt like he got a shot off there. But indeed, 5-7 for Astralis. Much better showing from Big versus Nuke, where they only managed to pull out 3 rounds in total.
I'm surprised Dupree stayed alive there.
Yeah, me too, actually.
It was awkward for Big. I love the AWP plays into B from a CT side. Halfway through the tunnel. Very good chance of catching a T off guard if you pick the right timing. It's Big's turn to have pistols around the corner from their next buy. At this point, there is no utility. The crouch was spotted by the device. Will the molly land in time? It won't. Taps into beyond it. It's 1 versus 1, but it's not an easy shot to take for the CTs, as evidenced by the shot through the wall. The USP, though, is made to look easy. Definitely isn't. Stuck in the choke point. 1 for 1. That's okay. Only 2 players remaining, though, for Big, which, of course, is a problem. CT's moving in for a crossfire play. A smoke to isolate, perhaps. There are really nice pop flashes you can do from B doors. There are some planks of wood which stick out on the wall between B doors and mid doors, and if you aim at the closer corner and walk slightly back, like a fadeaway flashbang, it can allow a CT in CT spawn to swing on the players there. It lands higher than you would look for, so it's hard to deal with as a T side. Now 2 rounds remain. Tac pause from Big as they look to close this out strongly. Would you be happy with a 9-6 versus Astralis on your T side?
Yeah, I think I would be. I think Big probably needs to use the fact that they've gone long pretty easily from Astralis and play off of that. So I think something where by now they should know Astralis is playing 3 towards A. So if they do some kind of long fake late or some cat fake late, mid to B might be weak. So I think they need to start switching that up if they can't be getting if they're not getting long anymore that easily, or they don't have the spawns for it.
Yeah, it's interesting how bad their spawn is. It's actually a reason why when a pro does a misbuy, you shouldn't restart the round, because that will change their spawn.
Yep.
Just remove your auto binds, and the problem is solved.
And people will abuse that, like said misbuy, even though they really wanted a better spawn or something.
I'm sure if some people even thought about it, they would absolutely do it. Oh no, I've misbought.
What do you mean you have an M? Well, The slower start for Big. Having to navigate the AWPs is never the easiest thing on Dust 2, and they'll get Xantares to check the close positions, double doors. No one close?
Did you see the mechanics of him checking all those angles? That was really sick.
Robotic.
Yeah, it was really robotic. Close right, CT spawn, other side, it was awesome.
And mouse excel helps, man. I'm surprised more people don't use it. It's a hard flick, and a flick that will be missed. As will be the incendiary. But it won't matter, so that's fine. Rotates towards long. The long defense might be where the round is won or lost here for Astralis. Ooh, nice spray comes in, the follow-up from Device. And the bomb is under control as well. Huge problem for Big. I felt like they were going to get through there, but now what do? You got 14 seconds. It's impossible to win the round. Tabson sitting in spawn. We can get some damage? No.
It's a big round for Astralis. Puts Big's money in the bin for the last round of the first half. A scout at the end of the half. Not ideal, really. Very, very nice from Device. Astralis with perfect timing. Just shy of perfect timing. Or maybe, I mean, if you're outcome oriented, it was perfect timing on that smoke grenade towards long doors. Slightly better spawn towards A for Big, and they will challenge for long. They need something fast with the buy they have, and they will take the long position. Ooh, how much will they invest into this, actually? What choice do they even have? CT's rotating now, counter flashes, plenty of utility. They can keep going with this. Smokes are up to keep Device safer. There goes the scout. Tipex is low as well, but here come the HEs. Boom. Antara's on 61.
Play something fun.
That's a pop flash you'd normally do with a flashbang, but he only has a smoke grenade to use as a fake. And that is it. 8-7. 7 rounds. Will it be enough for Big as they move to the CT side? We will surely find out after the break.
Start your path to pro. Begin your matchmaking experience with like-minded players. Climb the ranks, meet your teammates, and make it all the way to the top. Rise through the ranks to the FPL circuits and play alongside the best players in the world. And who knows, you might just be the next Saiwu. Begin your road to pro at FACEIT.com.
Cool, right? Want to know where I got it? Well, look, go to cs.money. It's a trade platform and a marketplace at the same time. Just choose, click, and get. Good luck, bro.
And we're back. And so is Antares. Starting things off with a headshot. Big obviously need to make some inroads here. You feel like Astralis did a pretty good recovery, all things considered. 8 rounds on the CT side, not bad. And the T side is, judging by you, pretty devastating. Antares laying down some devastation of his own, although it's put to an end finally. And Magis, meanwhile, try to walk through B. It's unsuccessful. Speaking of walking, having a good time.
Gotta hate it when that happens.
I guess it won't be Sumia having a good time.
It's really annoying when the guy you're trying to one-shot just won't stop moving. Ooh. Dupree with the P2000. You might not realize it, but look at the spread from Big. He has a chance at a 1 versus 1. If Tizian peaks first, and then next swings, that would be one thing. Tabson's gone all the way towards the long. There we go. Immediately set up for the 2 versus 1, and next will finish off the job. The pistol rounds have been rough for Big, but they've won both of them in this game. That's good for an 8-8, a pair of 8s.
I was born in '88.
Were you?
Yeah, it's the year of the dragon, James. According to the Chinese.
I think I was year of the rat.
Makes
I think it
sense.
was a rat.
Makes sense, James.
Oh wow.
They're smart.
What, are you saying I'm 6'9"?
They're smart,
Oh, okay.
they're quick, they're resourceful.
Very good.
Ah.
That is very true, actually. I saw on Twitter, I swear, it was the weirdest thing. I think it was a rat driving a tiny car, and it said the rat was calmer when it was driving the tiny car. It looks like a Pope-mobile, but for a rat. I was really confused.
I saw it. It was about.
You saw it?
Yeah.
What?
it
Wait,
was-
what?
I think the context is that they were trying to. The rat is trying to get food, Fruit Loops, I think.
Okay.
And they positively reinforced it so that it can drive a car to get Fruit Loops.
There you
What is the point of that experiment? Like, what is the point of that?
Can we train humans?
It's a
Can you train rats to drive a mini car to get Fruit Loops? What is the purpose of this?
It's the
What do you learn from this?
carrot versus the stick, James. Just proof that you shouldn't take the approach of negative reinforcements.
Random segue. Yeah, it's not good to be. It's not good to be a fountain of negativity.
Fountain.
What
Fountain of beatings.
what is interesting actually? Oh, hold on a second. Dupree's trying to win around here. Let's appreciate this because he could do this. He won't do it anymore. The Fuse Kit is a difference maker. Oh, so you see his blue deagle. I bought a Bravado sticker from DreamHack 2014 yesterday, and I put the Bravado sticker on my blue deagle, and I called it South Afri Puan. I'm a genius. Can we appreciate my genius? I'm a creative genius. Anyway, that was a lot of damage done by Astralis in that round. They made it expensive. Antares and Sumia have a combined empty wallet, one big empty wallet. Nothing in there but knives and lint. Batman reference, let's go. And Big will choose aggression. They will choose aggression. Like hyenas. The pack are hungry, Dan.
It is
We
difficult.
must feed the pack.
It is difficult to prevent the A take though if you take catwalk and you don't have anyone on car or anything like that to kind of cross by with to try to like delay and maybe get a kill, exhaust their utility a bit before they get to the site. Life can be hard. So I'm curious how Xantares is going to deal with this. He has full utility, but again, oh, they have no idea. They have no idea how close the T's are, but somehow Sumia does not get punished. It's a blessing, a gift from the gods.
This round has not been structurally sound for Big just yet. They need some individual skill to make up for it. They've been outmaneuvered from the start. Tizian's going to get an MP9 kill somewhere. In the meantime, Nex and Tizian remain. Tizian's got an upgrade though to agree. In that short position, showing presence. Not much for Nex to do from CT spawn. He can. Oh, that's a really nice frag from him. You can shoot through the windows. Once you know someone's there, you can go for the wall banks, but they don't have the position. And it feels like they never did have the position from Device going through mid doors at the beginning in getting a pick into from CT spawn essentially, and then a long play. It seemed Big were just surprised everywhere.
Yeah, they were totally disoriented, and they were about to get pinched, which creates a very weak defense at top A on that long hit. There again, I think Device dies in mid. Just trying to lurk a little too fast. I know we saw that last half as well. I wonder, the bomb had just gone down. He heard Tizian, but he still died to him by just trying to walk out on him. So I wonder what the optimal mid lurk is. Even Astralis doesn't seem to have it totally down, or at least maybe they're getting a little bit lazy.
Well, this will potentially be a lazy round for Astralis because it's not... Oh, actually, we get a force buy. I thought they were going to half to buy, but they've actually force bought here, and they've got a few force with that. I don't know. Look at this fast timing. Astralis know there's not going to be an orb. There's that mid smoke, so they get mid for free at a super fast timing. They'll go for a very fast B split. The lineup is epic for Tizium. Zipex though can trade the double, looking to line up more himself. But the bomb site has been secured, although the smoke fortunately is up still at mid for Zipex to get that bomb back into the hands of Astralis. And a retake, no kit. It's going to be tough for Big if they decide to go for it.
I have a question about those boxes in CT spawn after this round. They indeed do have a molly, but where is it? By the door at the moment. The big molly. Tabson's lining it up. Slightly to the left, actually, which is different to how you would normally do it. I think he's messed it up. I had a conversation with Zipex because Astralis have a similar molly from a different direction, and they messed it up. And I showed him the video clip of Big doing it. And he said that they have a different lineup, but basically, normally they do it to the middle of that shadow. Like if you split the shadow in two, the right, because the piece of construction's got a support in the middle. But if you look at the right-hand side, you do it in the middle, and it goes under the window. Basically, he did it to the left, and it went. I don't know where it went, but I don't think it was deployed as it was supposed to be.
This is where the game could really get out of hands. You know, we need a full save now for Big. They have got the one creek, but unlikely it will do too much.
Oh, I remember the question. See those boxes where you boost over, right?
Yeah.
You can wallbang those boxes.
Can you?
You can wallbang those boxes, yeah. So
in the last D2, you could as well.
Right. So on the left, yeah, you could. I made a video on old Dust 2, but I haven't on new Dust 2. So if someone's standing behind it, you can easily just wallbang them. If someone's boosted, you can wallbang them as well, but it's probably more awkward lineup. But no one ever does. And I feel like in the plays that T-sides make, where they're not trying to hide the fact they're in mid, I don't understand why they don't spray that box.
Why not?
They literally
Maybe they don't
never spray.
Maybe they don't know you can spam it.
I only ever really saw Hiko get a full punish purposely through it like a couple of years ago, or whatever it was.
I knew you could opt through it, but can you really use it
With an AK?
AK?
With an AK, yeah. Absolutely.
Try it out.
I'll have to make another video.
It is weird. That one was weird. We saw that so many times. We both knew that you could just wallbang it. And people know people are standing there and nothing one's doing anything about it. It's just like so weird. It also looks intuitive because it's just wood. You know, this game it looks like flimsy wood.
Yeah.
Like thin wood.
We must lead by example now.
MDF. Here comes the push into the side. There's again not really too much that Big can do. There's a nice kill. Nexus is getting a kind of outrageous amount of damage with a USP. That's a bit worrying.
It's actually worrisome now, yes. Oh, we've got
no.
we got flanks on flanks. We got flanks on flanks. Now there's a lot of trouble. However, Astralis should know that 2 players are CT spawned, so they have a lot of information, and indeed Big won't be going for it. They've got a smoke tight choke point. There are 6 flashes on Astralis.
Save City.
How many times tables do you guys know? Because I know that 3 2s are 6.
I know that one.
There's still time, Baden. There's still time. There we go. Another round in the bag for Astralis. They have planted the bomb in the last 4 rounds and won the last 3. Those are not good measures of success for Big Clan. They're 2 rounds behind now on the buy once again. They've got some nice bounty from that previous round, but now they need to do something with it.
Ooh, going fast towards B here. Gonna mix things up, have the AWP of Device, and everyone's ready. If Device gets something, they can all just burst into the bomb site. Looks like they're gonna walk it in anyway, just forcing the issue. Flash comes out, Tizian has to drop down, he's picked up one. The Kree is looking promising, but now he's alone. Tizian at the back of the bomb site, having to smoke off the molly. Oh, he's done so much damage. Tizian might just win everything by himself. He's looking for more here. He's bought the time for his teammates to come in. Tizian holding it down. Quad kill for him. Astralis couldn't get past Mr. Tizian. What a play.
Krieg on CTB can do a hell of a lot, but he saw enough players. You can see on the radar at this point in CT spawn, he has flashes on the way as well, because he even looks away from it because it was already deployed. So it was always going to be hard once he got those first 2 kills. Hard for Astralis, that is. And Astralis will be on eco at this point. Device with the Krieg. The rest will be on $2,500. Easy execution for Santares. And that Krieg is isolated and may not be recovered by the likes of Astralis, who will head towards short as they know there are some numbers on long. Maybe the priority now is to plant the bomb. They'll slow things down. They've got 2 P250s, 2 Glocks, and 1 smoke, which Zipex looks to deploy. It's going for the mid to B. Oh, crash? No. Mid to B smoke deployed. And a run boost. Operation Plant the Bomb. They have a pretty good chance to do this. No one's in position to actually stop them on the rotation. Dupree is tagged, but not fragged. Got a HE and the molly on the side to try and delay things. There is the bomb. You don't want it to fall to CT spawn for sure. I'm sure there'll be a boost attempt or some jumping big players. So that bomb plant is getting harder and harder now as time ticks. Almost the entire team for Big on the A bomb side. There's the fake, and there'll be no bomb slant here. Big will tie the score though.
Yeah, 11 to 11. Big won both pistol rounds, and they are experiencing some good levels of success here. And Astralis are going to make things a little bit interesting this round. They are going to force things up. They can afford 3 Kriegs. Therefore, the buy is good enough. Nice with the Scout. Scout is really good on this map. Boost over the smoke. You don't often see that. It's pretty scary, but that means there's 2 players in mid early, and they know that. So how do they interpret that fact? I mean, A is going to be weaker, because even if there's one that rotates back to A, he's going to be coming from CT initially. But Astralis already invested towards B, at least with 2 players. Clay clears double doors in mid. Pressure on Tizian on B. Astralis will surely fall into cat control now, and they've got Glaive up there. Will we see a lurk smoke? Do they understand Smuya's hanging out here? Scary.
Yes, it feels brittle being a sniper in that position late on in the round. As flashbangs come through the doors, who knows what might happen. Astralis really running the clock down. They've pushed the CTs away from the mid position. Have they identified that there are likely to be 2 in the B bomb site rather than 3? There's a high flash. Will it have impact? This is the transfer attempt. Dupree will deal with it. And here come the grenades from the tunnel. Smear doesn't know where to lurk. He's got to catch Zipex jumping up. Takes out some engagements in isolation. And then there were 2. Now he's buying time. 7 seconds. This bomb's not going to get planted, surely. Big survive with 4 players. Good awareness from Smuya. If he stands up and engages early, there's a chance to plant a bomb. If he sits there and threatens to stand up, Big can rotate. They can make the issue worse and survive with more players.
Astralis has tried this a couple times now. They've tried to kind of default for a little bit and then just hit up a B, and it's not worked out twice now. So I I wanna see them go back to kind of taking some mid control, maybe look for a kill CT spawn or window again. That I think Device found one of their first gun rounds, and maybe try something a little bit more standard towards A. Take some long control away. I think they're kind of going into 2 players or more every round right now. So let's see if we can switch that up a little bit.
So splatting there as the bullets connect to the helmetless heads of Astralis. There we go. Big 3 away from winning map 2 against Astralis now. Astralis have to kick it up a gear if they want to prevent a 3rd map. And we get the AWP onto Device. The Krieg will come out. So one would expect that they are going to have a good plan here, as Balin said. You know, that upper B play, the mid splits, not really working out so far as they maybe would have liked. I already picked from Device. I think Big set up some nades in long. They're kind of going for a delayed take instead of a rush timing. Perhaps because they didn't have the spawns that they wanted. Tizian through the smoke, looking for the next one, and it's going to be an easy kill for Tizian. Device is the only one left for the effort on long, and the bomb's been lost there as well. He'll get a pick, but I don't know what they're going to be able to do here, because Big have long on lockdown now.
Smear's in no man's land. Does he hit a scope in T spawn though? The bomb is still at long doors, in control of Big Plant. How on earth do they get anything out of this one, Astralis? Again, we did say Big would have to win it in 3, and they are definitely raising their chances of doing so at the moment. Smear just misses Device, but the bomb is still in an MVP position. Disposal, weapon disposal service. He will not want him to get anything out of this.
Can never hear all of that.
Ooh, there was a chance.
Yeah, imagine if suddenly, imagine if that was Tizian and there's like a double kill somehow. That would be pretty epic.
This is a pitfall that teams sometimes fall into because their B splits weren't working. Let's just try going A right away. I think something you have to consider is the other team also knows what you have been doing. So they made the adjustment, sent 4 towards A, Big did. And I think it's almost always safer to keep kind of working the map and see where the B rotator is or the A rotator is. If you don't see one towards window, if you see that guy towards close mid, you know B is open. Don't just kind of gamble. And I think they didn't take the rush timing. They went a little bit slower at long A, which was interesting. They lost out on the trades, but you don't want to just keep switching between one side to another because the other team is also tracking what you've been doing. So it's work the map a little bit.
Let's see if they decide to do that. They are in an awkward position because they kind of have to give 15 rounds to Big here. They can't really spend everything unless they get a bomb plant. And they've been fairly conservative actually with the buy, given that they have max loss bonus. They'll get $3,400 in addition to what you see here. $4,200 if they get the bomb down, so they'll truly be working with everything in the following rounds. But you never know. Sometimes rounds like these work out. It's hard on Dust too though. Xantara's close on Catwalk. He's got to be really successful.
Timing just not quite with him, but the Krieg is with Tabson for sure. It's made doable by Astralis. They, however, have Smear to deal with. They've got one flash on Zipek, which can go up the ramp, but Smear's exposed to the long position. Down he goes. Now they've got long and short Astralis. What is the play from Big? Where is the money for Big? So many decisions. There's cash in the bank. Tabson with 12k, so that's not a concern. They want to make it expensive at very least. I thought Nex shot him there, but it was the Flames. Tizian coming in from the back, gets his bell rung. Only loses a little, but he's only got a little left. He and Nex are in the 30s.
Oof. And it's really also about buying time for Device, because if there's very limited time left on the clock, Device gets a 1 versus 2 on the site, given where it's planted, they're going to really struggle to deal with him. He actually goes for a smoke here. They've got a smoke of their own. He's got to hit the shot. He's got to line up perfectly. He can't quite find the lineup. And the defuse is in. Device, doesn't matter if he dies at this point, it really doesn't matter. He'll survive. That's an unfortunate spot, but let's think about it. You know, Astralis, they just bought the Eagles. They weren't even thinking about winning that round effectively, or expecting to.
Yeah, they got really close. So maybe they just need to work the map.
Yes, maybe that's the case in point right there. We'll see if they go to do that. Over fast timing from Device with the orb, and he's going to go straight for the kill here. You gotta love the Device when he just has that killer instinct. Just knows the timings, expects the rotation, but he's a little bit too slow. Nexus fed a second kill, and that's a disaster for Astralis. They have caused some rotations, they've cleared up some space, but will they invest another person into this, or will they just let it go? Dipex will cause some questions by dropping that Molotov, because it does stop the CTs from getting the info immediately.
Creep from Tizian. Footsteps heard. Magic's gonna hop up now. Crouch jump. No sound cue.
Oh, he knows he's got to be car at this point.
He does indeed. Pops down, but won't win the duel. That would have been really important. But it seems like this map will be over. As Zipek remains in a 1 versus 4. He has 1 minute, but he has no more health. And Big make the comeback on Dust 2. Again, they had to win it in 3. Nuke was a non-starter for them, but they certainly get going on Dust 2.
Yeah, it was a pretty scary game for Astralis. You know, Big won both pistols. They converted out of both pistols, and any map of Counter-Strike will be hard if team's able to do that. And Astralis, I guess it was the case that they just, I guess those B splits, they were like working really hard for the B splits. That's kind of where they lost control of the game. It feels like.
Yeah, I think Big played pretty well overall on their CT side. Their T side, they lost a little bit of the grip after being up 7-4, I think it was. I think Astralis finished 1 out. But on their CT side, I was impressed. I think they kind of just hit their shots. You see Tizian get some multi-kills at B when they try to split B on him. And in general, the only success they really had was working the map, going through mid, getting a kill, resetting, and ending somewhere afterwards, instead of just kind of going somewhere from the start of the round. So they also Astralis didn't have great long spawns that entire game, maybe like once or twice. So that kind of sucks on Dust 2.
Indeed it does. What doesn't suck for Big is a victory on Dust 2 and taking the match to train. Again, both these teams are playing for a slot in the finals in Arlington, Texas, and it will go down to one more map. Train will be the decider between Astralis and Big, and that comes after the break. Don't go too far away. We're back in just a few minutes.